Well, well, well. We're gonna need a little. We're gonna need a little thing that's called like I don't know. I'm gonna marinate on it for a little bit. Maybe I'll put Laura on it because she's really good at this stuff. But need a little something. Ooh, more stuff coming today than I thought. Let's see. But yeah, I need a little better name. For like just when we're hanging out, taking questions, and generally, considering what we're gonna poll because I want to talk about potentially polling sooner rather than later. I mean that's totally up to how the public polling project funds, but like it did fund kind of like I don't know what percentage are we at already? I mean it's possible we're like 10% the goal already. Why does the goal say that? That's not the full goal. Um I mean that's not the right goal. Yeah, that's not I have to figure that out. Either way, I mean, it is roughly 10% done. And that's from like, I don't know, some people basically. Yeah, polling punch bowl. Polling punch bowl. Ooh. I like that. I may have to give you credit for that. Let's send that over to Laura. Ooh. Polling punch bowl. Is that you, Laura? No. Hi, Pumpkin. Say hello to everybody. Pumpkin. Pumpkin World. World Pumpkin. She said, hello. Trying to figure out. I think we can kill that poll. We're polling a bunch of what we think are anti-MAGA fakes that are likely to get primaried. One of whom I'm considering primarying myself. I'm not even kidding. I think people think it'll be a show, like a little bit of a circus. It won't be. If I do it, I'm going to 100% do it full bore out, and I'm going to win. I got the Trump attitude, which is, if you're going to do it right. And if you're going to do it, I'm going to win. I don't know about you guys, but I 100% believe in the power of positive thinking. 100%. All right. No video on purpose. Cue in the music. Let's boogie. Yeah. That Mark Halpern played on his two-way thing stole my music. Yup. That's what I heard. I heard they're using the same music. That's okay. Because I'm going to make my own music. Yup. Written by the People's Pundit. Damn right. Why not? Do. Oof. If you're below 50 and you're an incumbent, you got a problem. Republicans should have had these riots happen right before the midterms. That's right. Would have done better for them. All right, let's boogie. Let's boogie.
I think a big part of this, though, is that this is very embarrassing for Gavin Newsom, and it's after a string of embarrassments. You look at all these different Democrat policies that are under dispute nationally, and they're best epitomized in California, whether it's how to handle a homeless population. Do you encourage it or do you discourage it? California encourages it, and they deal with all of that. All of their horrible wildfire preparation. They get a lot of Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom get a lot of criticism for how they responded to that fire. But really, the bigger criticism is how they failed to prepare for that fire. And then you look at all of the riots, the cartel riots, and what they're doing to encourage cartel activity in California. You know, California is a state where you basically can only afford to live there if you're extremely wealthy or if you're illegal. And they've kind of hollowed out the middle class. So when people look at what they don't like about Democrat policies, they look at California and they think Gavin Newsom, and that scares him heading into a primary.
What are you talking about? Anthony Scaramucci said that he's going to become president after this. What? Thanks for watching a Wednesday episode of Between the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. Don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them and share them far and wide. We're everywhere. We're on X, we're on Getter, we're on Truth, we're on Rumble. We're all over. You're probably watching one of those, but the best place, of course, and on the tube. The best place to follow us, of course, peoplespundit.locals.com. peoplespundit.locals.com. All right. Health comes first. Health comes first. There's two things that I must do in order to be here for you guys. Right? And that is keep doctor appointments and maintain a consistent gym schedule. I can't stand going to the doctor. I just can't stand it. But it's absolutely necessary when you get to be my age. And then they take forever. Like you got all day or something. Anyway, Molly Hemingway's right. Molly, she's right. Great follow on X, by the way. So is her husband, which is at Herminator. But no offense, Mark. I think your wife's a better follow. I just do. Molly's one of the few who seem to catch on, and early. I don't know Molly's full story. I don't know her life experience, but I will tell you this. Life experience is more predictive on how certain people view certain things, a lot of these MAGA issues, than party identification at this point. If you've had or grown up with a certain life experience, then you're going to get it. It's going to click. It's one of the reasons why I think I, as a pollster, when so many others didn't, did understand what people were saying and did know that it wasn't going to be a joke or a fluke or a clown show or what a circus or whatever it is all those geniuses called it back in 2015 when Donald Trump said he was going to run for president. There is something else here, though. Because there is an opportunity here, I'm trying to be careful, for Republicans to do something they've been unable to do in the Trump era, and I think the 24 election proved that. They've been unable to fully solidify this idea or this identity of what it means to be a Republican in Donald Trump's modern era. You look gorgeous. Slay. The coolest dad ever. Anyway, and that's because of a certain group of Republicans who are holding it up. There are many people up that are coming up or are, I'm just going to be careful here, are coming up. You know what? I don't see a reason why I can't bring this up. Because he represents a kind of voter. There are the remainder of the white working class that are Democrats or still will vote Democratic. Yet, honestly, they agree with Donald Trump on almost everything. They're not really progressive in the sense that an urban white liberal or a suburban woman, an overly educated, upper middle class and above suburban woman is like fanatically liberal. They're not that. And then, of course, there's the new MAGA, which I would argue are, that other group, that first group. You would expect that to become part of the Trump coalition at some time. It's like almost natural. But what appears less natural, of course, we speak about a lot. We're talking about a lot, which is non-white voters, especially younger non-white voters, black voters who are under the age of 45, particularly black men. of course, Hispanics overall, Hispanic men actually voted for Donald Trump, like, period. Newly naturalized immigrants who are now not even, I mean, they're U.S. citizens. They voted nationally for Donald Trump, which is just crazy considering the riots, right? I mean, everything you hear about is just upside down. It's just a complete opposite of the truth. Like, as if this is going to help Gavin Newsom become the next president of the United States, like 48. That's nuts. It might help him in a Democratic primary, I would argue. Maybe Molly's, you know, maybe she's right in the sense that we'll see what happens to the Democratic Party down the road when we get there. But, the more fanatic leftist you are, the more likely you are to win the nomination, unless Barack Obama calls everybody and tells everybody that he's going to give them something to jump out. So Bernie Sanders isn't the nominee. Bernie was going to win without twice being robbed. He was going to win that nomination. He's a socialist. That is indicative of what the Democratic Party is in modern America. They're not. There's no moderates. They're nuts. They're far left. I'm sorry. It's just true. It's objectively true. I mean, I don't know why we have to pretend, if I'm being impartial pollster, I can't say the obvious. When we poll people and where they stand on the issues, there's an obvious spectrum. And when you look at the platform of the Democratic Party, they are far, far to the left, to the point where most Americans would say they're crazy. They just have a really good PR team, which is the corporate media, and the whole everything institutionally works in their favor. That's it. Without that, without the votes that have no business being on the voter rolls, they would stand like no chance. Everybody knows this. They have no shot of winning the House of Representatives if we only count U.S. citizens. They have, as it is right now, they have no chance. Maybe the coalitions will change, blah, blah, blah. They won't. Not for a while. I mean, they always will. But we're talking about, it would be a decade or more. They'd be cooked out of the House of Representatives. Cooked. And then that's that group, that we always, and we focus a lot on them. But there's this, maybe a bit of a combination of those two groups. And they have not fully committed to the Republican Party yet, even though Donald Trump won these groups, and Republicans in many places did not, because they don't trust the Republican Party. And Republicans have this opportunity coming up with the midterms to get rid of some of these people who are the face of their problem with the Republican Party. John Thune becoming the Senate Majority Leader was a monumental mistake. He's part of a wing of the Republican Party that has corrupted the U.S. Senate and corrupted a large part of the House of Representatives. And the people, the voter, the average voter, can't stand them. Can't stand them. Hates their guts. If they're going to vote for a scumbag politician, in their mind, they might as well just continue to vote for Democrats, because at least they know the Democrats will throw them a bone. The Mitch McConnell wing of the party will bail out every company, every foreign power that they're laundering money through, start every stupid war, but they won't send them a $2,000 check. And I'm not saying that's good policy. I'm simply saying priorities, folks. Priorities. Let's not forget about the special elections in Georgia after the 2020 election. Perfect example. And even when it comes to, because what will it take to roll those people over? Well, one, you got to get rid of the people they don't like. And John Thune being a continuation, you gave McConnell, the McConnell wing of the party, you gave them a foothold to hang around. But a bunch of them are up for re-election this cycle. And almost all of them appear cooked already. John Cornyn in Texas has a particularly strong opponent. He's cooked. I don't even know why he's running. He's going to humiliate himself. He should just step down. But I know what they're doing. I know what they're going to do. They're going to throw a bunch of fake-ass MAGA candidates in that race, and they're going to try to split the vote. And they're going to go at Ken Paxton super hard and tried to destroy him as a person, as a man. Why? Because John Cornyn can't defend his record. John Cornyn's not MAGA. And John Cornyn's going to kiss the president's ass and hope that the president either endorses him or stays out of it. When, frankly, a lot of this is on Trump, and I do put a lot of this on Trump and the people around him who are supposed to be super stabilizing. They're killing him, and they're killing the people who voted for him by playing this game. John Cornyn will stab the president in the back the first chance he gets after the midterm elections. Ken Paxton got impeached because he supports Donald Trump. Impeached. All right. Take, for instance, the second thing you're going to need after throwing those bums out is you're going to need some leaders who are representatives of those groups to make the change. The problem is, I'm talking about senators from Trump country that are Democrats flipping to the Republican Party. Yep. It absolutely is possible. I know of one right now that's on the fence. You know what his problem is? The McConnell wing of the Republican Party. He's up there on Capitol Hill day in and day out, and he knows what I'm telling you is true. They're dirtbags. They're scumbags. They're crooks. They're some of the biggest crooks in the entire country. And he's not going to get into bed with that. Why would he risk his political neck? That was the nice way of me saying it. Why would he risk that for them when he knows they'll hang them out to dry in a second? And use your imagination. You probably know or could guess who I'm talking about. Flatly said it the other night. So had Tim Scott been elected the Republican leader of the U.S. Senate, the majority leader of the U.S. Senate, and not John Thune, you'd have a new senator right now. That's right, MAGA world. You would actually have 2 Republican senators from not only a battleground state, the quintessential battleground state that represents the Trump coalition more than most. I would say Florida probably represents the new and the entire Trump coalition more so than any other state, because some of those other states where he wins, like Ohio, for instance, which used to be a battleground, Iowa, they're whiter than the Trump coalition. Okay. Florida, which will be majority Hispanic sooner rather than later. The more so it gets to be, the more MAGA it'll get. Nevada is another one. That's a very good example. By the way, the Republican candidate for Senate lost when Trump won. Double-digit underperformance. It's kind of, or near double-digit under, technically. It's kind of pathetic if you think about it. All right, so let's get to it, shall we? This is what I want to poll. I want to poll. Ooh, what are my Rumble comments doing up here? Awesome. I think we're going to have to figure out, like Barnes said, I'm already starting to kick around, guys, some ways to say this. We need to figure out a way to pull this tariff situation in a fair way. And more than just tariffs, the entire topic. The entire topic. Because honestly, I don't want to get, my father always used to say, don't count your chickens before they hatch. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. But it doesn't appear that any of this economic calamity or any of this news, this dire news, is going to come into about. Oh, by the way, let me show this. It's just better when you show it. Here we go. Oh my God. Tariff mania. Tariff mania. Here is. Oh my God, that is good. Oh, well done. Well done. That's protein? Oh my God. Well done. Here is the consumer price index for May. As you can see, the forecast range from a low of 0.1 to a high of 0.3. Consensus was 0.2, a very average historical reading, by the way. The prior was 0.2, which was already better than expected. Year over year, the consensus was 2.5. There was a very, very limited range on the forecast this month. 2.3 was the prior. The consensus was 2.5, a low of 2.4 to a high of 2.5. So, I mean, obviously more people saw it on the higher end than the lower end. Look at X food and energy month over month. Why does that matter? Because that's what the hell people buy. Year over year, it's down considerably. And in a second, I'll actually put it up so we can see it from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. At some point, people are going to react to this and react to it very favorably, because the only thing that really considerably rose this month, guys, was shelter, which is not good. But you can see it yourself here. Let's go to the BLS. There's the report. Shelter did rise. Can we get the chart up here too? Give me a second. I would like to get the 12-month line chart. 12-month percentage by region and division. No, I just want to do selected categories over the last 20 years. Yeah, that looks beautiful. That's perfect. But first we'll read and then we'll go through the chart. All right, the consumer price index for all urban consumers, CPI-U, increased only 0.1%. That's it. On a seasonally adjusted basis in May, after rising just 0.2 in April. Over the last 12 months, however, because of course we have the end of Biden in there, the all items index rose 2.4 before seasonally adjusted. You guys may remember when we first started to talk about this, and I said we're going to do more economic indicators. You may remember as Trump came in the office, that annual year-over-year number was still ridiculous. In the 3s, 4s, wow, it was disgusting. And over time, because the CPI has not just the rate of inflation not only has slowed. In a couple of, look, there it is, March right there. In March, inflation actually declined. It actually fell. Not the rate of inflation declined. Inflation declined. It's just hilarious because you can see the spike on the last month when Joe Biden is president, and it's been nothing but historic or below historic readings since. And every month we have been told you got to give it time. It's going to kick in it'll kick in March. It'll kick in April. Oh, it's too early. Yes, the reading was better, but it's too early. Just you wait until May. Well, here we are. How many more months are we going to continue? That I have heard these same people now just start to kick it back like 3-4 months. Well, then you should have said that to begin with. All right? Maybe you'd be more credible if you didn't say back in March to wait till April, or in April to wait till May. Oh, but next month it's going to be much worse next month. Nobody, none of these tariff panic pushers, initially, at the very least, went past the month of May. They all said we were going to see it next month. It's a lagging indicator. Next month, it's a lagging indicator. Well, how many more months you want to lag, huh? He may have all these negotiations sewn up by the time your forecast even gets here now, or your latest forecast. Meanwhile, imports are rising. Imports are declining. Exports are rising. The trade deficit's narrowing, and consumer spending is still gangbuster. It's just... At what point do you say to yourself, you know what? Maybe I should stop pushing the BS. Even though the Atlanta Fed their estimate has come down for second quarter of 2025 on GDP growth, you're still looking at a 3.8% quarter as of right now, which was it's unchanged from the June 5th, but it's down from the one before that. which was 4 point something, 4.3, something like that. What happened? Personal consumption expenditures, otherwise known as consumer spending, it ticked down slightly, 2.6 to 2.5, which was, by the way, offset slightly by an increase in real gross private domestic investment growth, which was negative 2.2, which everyone was panicking about, which declined to negative 1.9, or rose, excuse me. I mean, the decline shrunk from negative 2.2 to negative 1.9, which is good. That's good news. All right, back to it. The index for shelter, which is the, let's call it stubborn, all right? The index for shelter rose 0.3 in May and was the primary factor for any of this increase at all. It was the primary factor in the all items monthly increase. The food index increased 0.3 as both of its major components, the index for food and the index for away, also rose 0.3. But in contrast, the energy sector, the energy index declined a full point, as gasoline fell all over the month. The index for all items less food and energy rose 0.1 in May, following a 0.2% increase in April. Indexes that increased over the month include medical care, motor vehicle insurance, household furnishings and operations, personal care, and education, but they're all very, very modest, normal increases. The index for airline fares, used cars, trucks, new vehicles, and apparel were among the indexes that decreased. So, guys, gas, clothing, even the food increase was not a horrible increase. That was a normal, very, very normal increase. So, with all of these better than expected readings coming in, it's actually dragging down the year over year. So the all item index for rose 2.4 for the 12 months ending in May, after rising 2.3 over the 12 months ending in April. It's about the same. Less food and energy rose 2.8. But that was the energy index falling by 3.5% in that 12-month period that ends in May. That's huge. Get a little bit better on the food and we'll be in really good shape. As far as like what are goods that people use all the time and are going to notice. But still, this is nothing. It's another better than expected performance, which we should have expected, because what happened after the CPI report last month? What did we go over the next day? The producer price index, the PPI, which is wholesale inflation. That gets passed off to the consumer. So considering it fell last month, and I mean fell, it was negative, we should have expected a better than expected CPI. Why not? How many panic pushers have done as well financially as Donald Trump? I will wait. You know, that's a good question, Tim. And I will tell you this too, though. Some of these scumbags like the Jamie Dimons and all those other pieces of shit, they want you to panic. They make tons of money. Tons of money. I mean, with the Elon Musk thing, you know, Robert and I talked about that too. I see the comments about that. He said it would cause a recession. I mean, he's acting like a little child. Honestly, he is. He's acting like a little child, but we'd expect that. And like Barnes and I were talking, and we wondered privately, quietly, you know, like how much of this is to get people to like get off Elon's back? I mean, is he going to sink his company to support Donald Trump, or is eventually, you know? Yeah, Cornyn, Cassidy, Tillis, Graham, they all got to go. Graham, I will tell you this. Graham is actually among the highest performing one, and he's still below 50%. I do know of another poll that will be coming out in South Carolina too, which does have, what's his name? See, he's so forgettable. Mark Lynch, pretty close to Graham. But again, they'd only offer Mark Lynch. So I can tell you right now, when you put all of the other candidates who are either running or considering running, they're all polling right in the same ballpark. I'll just say that. I have to be kind of careful on how much I blurt out there. The fact of the matter is nobody has any real advantage. And then you have Lindsay, you know, creeping around in the 40s with the Trump endorsement. That's the worst part. And nobody's laid a glove on the guy yet. You're talking about a guy who's going for his 5th term in the U.S. Senate. And he can't break 50% with the Trump endorsement. That's another thing I did want to talk about. I just didn't want to throw it on the banner here, folks. The power of the Trump endorsement. Like, Trump's team better watch out. Ooh, looks like somebody's there. Trump's team better watch out, because they could wind up humiliating him and spending political capital that he really can't afford to spend, especially if he wants to handpick his successor. As of right now, I don't even want to call it Team Trump, because, guys, I really don't know how else to tell you this. A lot of these people are they're not MAGA. I mean, they work for the guy, and they're trusted apparently by the guy, but they themselves are not MAGA. They're not doing what's in the best interest of MAGA in the future. So if you're like very much a MAGA supporter, don't expect all of the advice in the president's ear to be advice that, you would give him if, as a voter. Like, what do you want done? Who do you want him to support? Especially in certain areas, which I'm looking a lot more micro at this thing. There are areas in some of these states where there have been influxes of migrants from all over the country, state to state migrants. Molly Hemingway just said that in California, you have like these uber wealthy people, and then you have poor immigrants and gangbangers and they've hollowed out their middle. And in fact, that is factually true. State to state migration for California has been negative for over a decade, meaning there are more people leaving the state of California and going to other states than there are going to California. And who are these people? Middle class. They're not liberals leaving California to make other states blue. That's actually not the case at all. Top destination points for these migrants: Nevada, Arizona, not in any particular order. Nevada, Arizona, Florida, Texas. And they're going to these places and they're voting red. These people are among the most Trumpy people in these other states. And by the way, actually, you take somebody like Graham, for instance. South Carolina is one of them. Horry County isn't what it was 10, 20 years ago. Horry County is filled with people from New Jersey, New York, California, going to live in a red state. And they're the most Trumpy out of any of these voters. Those fleers of left-wing you-know-what holes, they are the most MAGA. And they don't know that, like, an incumbent who's getting ready to serve 5 terms, like, to them, that Southern twang isn't cute. And I don't mean this in any way, guys. I'm not saying it's just like finding the good old boy who looks like he's from the Southern Golf Course Country Club is just not cute to them. They have nothing in common with a person like that. And those people are basically telling us everywhere, yeah, I support the president. I just don't think he's making the right decision here. I'm going to have to go my own way. If you're Trump, you don't want them to start to make that a habit. Because the more they do that, the less powerful his endorsement is going to become. Once they start to make those breaks, that'll be it. All right. Yeah, I would just disagree with that take on Rick Scott, by the way. I did read that before. I would just disagree with that take. Rick Scott is significantly more MAGA than Mitch McConnell or John Thune. Significantly more. Do I think he's like Vance MAGA? No. Of course not. But he was definitely the more... bottom line is, look at how Rick Scott performed with Hispanics compared to other Republican senators. And it's not just because Florida's Florida. Republicans were losing Hispanics 2-1 not 10 years ago. It's not just that. And he just does better. I mean, if you look at the exit polls, you'll see. Why? Because if you ever lived in Florida, remember when he was the governor? That guy's not afraid to go in any neighborhood. I mean, I've seen this guy go into places that, most white guys would be terrified to go into. Just to go and speak to a woman who's a single mother so he can relate because his mother also raised him. It's like a Democrat, It's like a Democrat. And Austin, you know what I'm talking about. You're one of them. There you go. And I've been saying this now for many years. I don't even know, but Republicans have got to get through this identity crisis, and they got a good opportunity to do it this election cycle. I think I see David in the YouTube chat, David Giglio. I don't mean to throw you up here, David, but you're actually a perfect example of this. John Duarte lost every effing precinct that you won. He lost every single one. It was so predictable that Trump was going to win your precincts and John Duarte was going to lose them. John Duarte, despite his last name, looked more like a rhino white guy than most white guys. You guys know what I'm saying. So, that's why I said on Monday, don't get it twisted when I'm saying about, well, what do you mean? Should you go out and recruit more diverse candidates? No, because the California GOP is so stupid and partly racist that they think that that's all they have to do too. Let me go out and get a Javier Lopez and he's going to turn it around in a way John Duarte couldn't. Okay, then why did a white guy named Adam Gray outperform John Duarte, the guy with the Hispanic last name, in David's precincts around the district where Donald Trump also outran him? Come on. It's about authenticity. It's about authenticity. And the country club old white Republican, which is really nothing more than the remnants of a Southern aristocracy that was Democratic Party aristocracy, by the way, isn't going to cut it. And I told people I would get a lot meaner this year because it just seems people aren't listening. So I'm going to have to state this plainly for people. So when I see somebody, like for instance, Mark Lynch, I'm going to say, not at all authentic. If he was even able to beat Lindsey Graham, which I'm not sure I'd have no confidence he even can. If he was, and by some miracle under God, Republicans don't stay home in too big of numbers to get him over the finish line, he will have exactly one term in the U.S. Senate before he loses to a new dynamic Democrat. They're very good in the South putting up these fake conservative candidates that are more palatable than the out-of-touch, unrelatable, old rich white guy who pours $5 to $10 million in his own primary campaign and makes every GOP consultant rich. He'll have one term and he'll be out, and you'll be lucky to have one senator, MAGA. I mean, you could test me, or, you could test that. Maybe you'll wind up doing it. He's not the dude. Republicans are out of time. They can't afford to make any more of these mistakes. How much longer do they intend to do this? They got very comfortable in the Trump era. Very comfortable. I can blame Donald Trump for every failure I have, but I can also sit back and reap the rewards of him being the face of the party. And I don't know how anyone could mistake what voters said last November, which is, no, you can't. No, you can't. We'll vote for him. We won't vote for you. You got to earn it. I don't know. Why would they think that? An invasion for 4 years, Republicans sat on their ass and did nothing. Country's being invaded. Donald Trump won kind of easy. on a policy of mass deportation. Republicans sat on their asses and they lost several seats in the U.S. Senate and many seats in the U.S. House that Donald Trump won. Joe Biden is clearly senile. And as it turns out, it was worse than that. The American public had to tolerate the Democratic Party talking about invoking the 25th Amendment all of Donald Trump's entire tenure, and Republicans didn't do anything about the president being senile and a bunch of 25-year-old kids running our country into the ground with the empty meat suit walking around. With them just using the auto pen, they did nothing. We don't want to support this war. We don't want to kill any kids. We don't care if they're Russian kids or Ukrainian kids. You can send them humanitarian aid, but that's just about it. Every Republican, damn near everyone, not all of them, but damn near all of them voted time and again to send billions and billions, print billions and billions that we didn't have while Americans sitting at home couldn't afford to put gas in their car. So they don't view at all, with good reason, the Republican Party as uniformly in lockstep with Donald Trump. They don't. And they're out of time, in order to not, to get them. Donald Trump, once his midterm comes up, depending on how it goes, Donald Trump will about be out of his ability to shape party politics. They will not care anymore. And that'll be a wrap. Hey, little buddy, you want to say hello? Say a little hand. Daddy's on the show. What's up? You need me to do that? Is that what you're asking me for? Yeah. Okay. I got you. Little high five. Give me a high five behind my back. Getting big muscles. You're going to be able to go to the gym with Daddy soon. I wish to let kids in. Oh, how many did you send me here? For the love of goodness, man. You know what? You may have to go ask Mommy to do this, buddy. It does not appear to be working on my end, and I can't sit here clicking away forever. Oh, you know what? I can do it here. Hold on. Give me 1 second. You're interrupting. You're interrupting.
Oh, you are.
Yeah. Oh, I'm interrupting your ability to do your thing. Say hi, Mr. David. Remember Mr. David? He's watching. Say hi. Roro says hello, David. There we go. I got it. Now get out of here and let Daddy work. Get out of here and let Daddy work. I got it. Go get out of here. I'll tickle you into oblivion. Nothing but cuteness. Cuteness overload. You get out of here before I show everybody your performance of Aladdin. So cute. So cute. Ken Paxton. I think he's going to steamroll John Cornyn. I don't even know why John's running. I mean, it's just, I don't know what he thinks is going to happen here. I don't know what he thinks is. You would have to make Ken Paxton so unpalatable that people would have to vote for you. But then you're risking the fact that so many just won't anyway. So many MAGA Paxton supporters won't anyway. Again, this is a perfect example, too, of what I'm talking about with Trump. What's to think about here? So what? John Cornyn voted for a couple. The guy talked crap about you 99% of the last 10 years. 99% of the time he was talking crap and stabbing you in the back. Ken Paxton was there in the trenches with you the whole time. I just, and by the way, with your voters and your supporters, like, what am I missing here, guys? What am I missing? Yeah. I fear Trump is going to endorse Cornyn because his advisors are telling him to pass the big, beautiful bill. Yeah. Me too, David. Me too. If I told you what I knew about why he's supporting some of these people or not supporting their opponents, you would be very upset. They think, let me put it this way. Let me just say this. They think these people provide more value to Donald Trump than they do. And the fact that Trump would believe that is disturbing because he should not be so insulated to to not know whether that was true. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, you have to be pretty insulated, isolated, in order to believe that, like, Tom Tillis is, like, doing you favors, or to believe that Lindsey Graham is a benefit to you with, let's say, Democrats. Yeah, kid you not. He's very influential with the Democrats in the Senate and in South Carolina. No, he's not. He hasn't got a single Democrat in the United States Senate to cross over and vote for anything you have proposed. What are you talking about? Not only did, like, you can't chalk up a single Democrat in the state of South Carolina voting for Donald Trump because Lindsey Graham supported him. In fact, what we're collecting shows the opposite. The only reason why Lindsey Graham, well, there's a few, why Lindsey Graham does slightly better than somebody like Mark Lynch in a general election at this moment is because, one, Donald Trump endorsed him. So the Republicans, not the Democrats, the Republican loyalists, as of now, are voting for him than others at higher rates. But as far as the moderates and the Democrats go, there's a whole hell of a lot more undecideds with the generic Republican candidate or some of the alternatives. A hell of a lot more undecided Democrats than there are in the other ballot tests with Lindsey Graham versus the Democratic nominee. They don't like Lindsey Graham at all. He's just like a double-edged sword, you know? I mean, he may turn your base off, and he's not getting you any votes from the other side who can't stand him. So, like, this idea that he's of value to you because he's like a bridge builder with Democrats is just, guys, that's I don't know what reality, what multiverse, the version of the multiverse these people live in. The guy's not responsible for winning you a single vote. Not one. Neither is Tom Tillis. Not one. How many Democratic votes in the U.S. Senate has Tom Tillis got for Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's simple. We already know the answer to all this. No Democrat has voted for anything Donald Trump has put up forward. And when Manchin was like rocking back and forth, it wasn't Lindsey Graham who was doing it. John Fetterman's battled with himself right now. He can't stand the Graham wing of the party. Here's the truth. You'd have another vote in the United States Senate right now if it wasn't for the Graham wing of the party, the McConnell wing of the party. It's weird, man. It's just weird dynamic. It's like a freaking Greek tragedy or something. The protagonist making a decision that appears to be a damned if I'm due, if I damned if I don't decision, but in fact is so crystal clear to everybody else who's watching from afar, i.e. the reader. It's like setting up to be a Shakespearean tragedy. I assumed everybody knew that already too. You would have thought. To be told that Lindsey Graham has done something of value is unbelievable. And not just something specific. He hasn't been able to keep every Republican in line. He hasn't. Not even in his class, his senior class. Let alone wrangled a Democratic vote. Jeez. The Democrat whisperer. I see dead people. What the fuck? Hey, Rich, I seriously need a polling quote. Are you serious? Are you asking me this on the show? What is it? Minnesota's 7th congressional district. Oh, I'd love to do that, actually. Michelle Fishbot versus Royce White, and what time frame it can be done. Hold on, boss man. Is there a contact? Hold on 1 second. Very simple, but just do me a favor and tell me if you're able to get through it right now. Fill out that form and we'll contact you. Okay. Tim Scott. Oh, did I say Rick Scott? Did I say Tim Scott instead of Rick Scott, Dread Robert? Oh, now I get it. Why everybody was like, oh, Tim Scott? No. I meant Rick Scott. If I said Tim Scott, I apologize for the confusion. Oh, Tim Scott, man. Revolving door on Wall Street with that dude. You're right. Yeah, you're 100% right about that. I thought you meant Rick Scott, which by the way, isn't perfect by any means. But man, Tim Scott, you might as well let Jamie Dimon have a corner office or something. He should be sitting in the kiddie chair in the corner, and Jamie sits in the chair with the desk itself. Damn, it's 4:06 already. Whatever. Let's finish this up. Yeah, I mean, I was like, what is he talking about? I was totally wrong about that. My fault. Let's remove this real quick too while I finish doing this. Boom, boom, boom. I do want to go back and see what else we got here. I know we got more. Hold on. Oh, crap. You can see that. Robert doesn't care. Robert just puffs away, you know? Whoa! That's right. We didn't get to talk about this yesterday. The NFIB is the National Federation of Independent Businesses. They've been doing the Small Business Optimism Index for many years. The all-time high is under Donald Trump. That's not just excelling the consensus, ladies and gentlemen. That's blowing the consensus away. 98.8 up from 95.8. Again, it was just all fear and bullshit. And by the way, even if you read, this is what I love about these types of surveys from the National Federation of Independent Business. A perfect example. If you look at the panel respondents and you read what they actually say, they were basically talking about a fear over the tax cut sunsetting. They were talking about the ability to find qualified manufacturing jobs and other jobs where, we just built ourselves to be a certain kind of economy, which Trump wants to take us back and out of. But it was not really centered on tariffs. Not in this index anyway. Were there some people who cited it? Of course. Finding qualified workers was a bigger problem. That's because for the jobs they're hiring for, your liberal arts degree from shit university doesn't qualify you to do that job. It does, however, get you buried in student loan debt. What a freaking waste. Raheem Kassam is reporting that all non-essential personnel from the entire Middle East have been ordered to evacuate. Any idea what's going on? No, but I will make a phone call after the show, and I will find out. If that is true, I will find out what's going on. Rich, of those in the Senate, who would you consider to be the 3 or 4 most MAGA? Oh, boy, that's a tough question. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Jeez, I'd literally have to pull up a list right now to try to dig some out. Ron Johnson is a solid dude. He doesn't always obviously agree, as nobody should expect him to. But he's when you're talking about a guy who, when you're talking about who is legit and who is not, and I would say he's like definitely more MAGA than most. Ron won re-election when others didn't for a reason. I mean, that's it. Boozman's a clown. Let's go through them. You ready? Jim Banks from Indiana. Tolerable. John Barrasso, super nice guy from Wyoming, of course. Super nice guy. Tolerable, not MAGA. John Boozman, clown. Katie Britt, clown. Ted Budd, the verdict is still out. Shelley Moore Capito, clown. Bill Cassidy, clown. Susan Collins, clown. John Cornyn, clown. Tom Cotton, war whore. Kevin Kramer, clown. Mike Crapo, clown. Ted Cruz is Ted Cruz. Okay. John Curtis, clown. Steve Daines, super nice guy. Certainly not MAGA. Only cares about Trump when he can get something out of it, like when he was the head of the NRSC. Joni Ernst, clown. Deb Fisher, clown. Lindsey Graham, war whore, clown in the closet. Chuck Grassley, solid dude. Again, keep your hands to yourself, old man. But better than most, I would say. Bill Haggerty, better than most. Josh Hawley, better than most. A lot better than most, actually. John Hooven from North Dakota, clown. John Husted, clown. Cindy Hyde-Smith from Mississippi, TBD. I'm leaning clown. Ron Johnson, solid dude. Jim Justice, solid dude. John Kennedy, love the guy. Love him personally. As far as does he understand the time we're in? No. James Langford, two-faced scumbag clown. Mike Lee, better than what you would expect out of the Mormon Utah Republican. Cynthia Loomis, clown. Roger Marshall, clown. No, Marshall I like. I like him. I just don't think, again, these people don't fight the way they should be fighting. Mitch McConnell, the dirtiest scumbag crook in the entire town. My wife's coming. I'm going to have to be better and nicer. Dave McCormick, you get the benefit of the doubt because my friends are your friends and they keep telling me that you're not as bad as I think you are. We will give you a chance. Ashley Moody, you could be much more aggressive. WTF, woman. Jerry Moran, Bernie Moreno, solid. Mark Wayne Mullen, solid 20% of the time. Lisa Murkowski, a crook of the highest order. Rand Paul, a principled clown. Jim Raich, whatever, bro. Like, so unremarkable. You're from the state of Idaho, and you know, Pete Ricketts, anybody with that last name, clown. Mike Rounds, scumbag clown. Eric Schmidt, good guy, solid. Rick Scott, again, I like Rick Scott personally, and I like him. And it's very difficult to have the ambition that Rick Scott has and not completely sell your soul to Mephistopheles himself in that dump of a town. So, you know, I've got his back. Tim Scott, we just had this conversation. Revolving door with K Street and Wall Street. Nice guy. But I think he was earnest when he said, and he told people, like my buddy in his own living room, that Donald Trump is going to kill the party for decades with black and brown people. Obviously, he was wrong, as I told him he was at the time. And as I told Pops he was at the time. Don't listen to that moron in your living room. He doesn't know what he's talking about. But I just don't like people who can smile ear to ear and talk nice about you. And then the minute they're in someone's living room privately, they're talking shit. I don't like that. I don't like it. Tim Sheehy, I mean, whatever. The guy won because he's from Montana. Donald Trump was on the ballot and Tester his time was up. Dan Sullivan, a clown. John Thune, a clown. Tom Tillis, a scumbag clown. Tommy Tuberville, my homeboy. Roger Wicker, I actually like Roger. I do. He's just not what he needs to be. And neither is, somebody like Todd Young, who I actually think is clown. So we just went through everybody. There it is. That's what you got. Yeah, I mean, I like Mike Lee. I like him. Like, it's hard to do what Mike Lee did. Do I expect the world out of him? No. But Mike Lee is part of an institution That is so. Listen, I'm just gonna leave it at that before I get myself in trouble. Okay, right? Just leave it at that. Tuberville's a good dude, solid. But what did I get through? 5 people, maybe? That I didn't say clown? Yep. I mean, I don't know if that's worth. Now, if I were to do the same thing and go down the list with Democrats about whether or not they can be counted on to do what needs to be done, like every single one of them will choose their party over you in a heartbeat, and that's good because that's what they want their voters to do. You can't begrudge them for doing what. Yeah, I mean, are they good? Is their policy good for the country? No. So the 3 or 4 most MAGA. I mean, Robert, I don't even think I got to 5. So I mean, that's it. You know what I mean? All right, cool, Ryan. Let me just double check and make sure. It's contact, right? Hold on one second. Let me just check and make sure it's in the C panel. I'll check the C. I don't have my laptop on me right now, which has the access to that email. But no, I'm gonna look right here, right in the C panel. I forwarded somebody to the form. Oh, I gotta mention this before it's too late. We gotta go. Okay. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I almost forgot. I will give you a bit of a heads up. We are changing servers, and if it goes down at any point, I will give you a heads up to let you know. It'll probably be done around like 3 a.m. when you're not going to be really looking at the site anyway. But I thought that it would be a good idea for me to tell you that, of course. So I'm telling you now, and I will let you know. It's just that you got to evolve, you know? You got to evolve because once upon a time we needed our own freestanding, I'm talking about physical server, which was housed because of everything that had been going on, people being thrown off of their web hosting because they had the wrong views. We had our own with the company, of course. They certainly housed it and maintained it, but great company and stood by us when things got nasty. But at some point, we don't really need redundant servers. When we had people spending daily, and it was a real possibility that you could be having a million hits at one time. We needed redundancy, and we've been paying for it all this time. It's not even necessary. So we're migrating, and we're staying with that company, but we're migrating to something that's more suitable for us. We don't need that anymore. What are we going to do? Get a huge spike in traffic during election times and when a poll gets linked to Real Clear Politics? Well, with this more suitable, um, right, with this more suitable package, whatever you want to call it, we can temporarily increase or add redundancy. So that's great. We don't need to be paying for it, which is a fortune. A fortune. You know how much it is to house your own personal physical server? It's a fortune. And it's just an expense that's done totally unnecessary. And Cloudflare, yeah, it just doesn't do it, P-Dub. You need your own server to really carry weight like we used to carry. And we just don't need it anymore. All right, so multiples, especially. All right. What else here? What did I say? Oh, right. Of course, in case you guys didn't know, the show, of course, was brought to you by our friends at 1775. You know that feeling when your coffee actually does what it's supposed to do? It clears your head, it lifts your energy, doesn't leave you crashing an hour later. That's what good coffee is supposed to feel like. And that's what you get with 1775. Their coffee is organic, single origin, high altitude, and small batch roasted. That means no toxins, no acidity, no jitters, just smooth, clean coffee that fuels your day without weighing you down. From bold everyday roasts to brain boosting mushroom blends, I love that stuff, and anti aging formula, 1775 is the functional and classic coffee options to match whatever mission you're on. Whole bean, ground, or pod, your morning just got an upgrade. Head to 1775coffee.com. The link is in the description below. Use the promo code TPP and get 15% flat off your purchase. Okay. It's right there right now in the description. You click on it, it will take you there. Use the promo code TPP. 1775coffee.com/TPP or go to the website and just go ahead and use that promo code. All right, I think I got to kick rocks and get on out of here. It's 4:20. You look gorgeous.
I mean, jeans.
You look beautiful. Isn't she beautiful?
Isn't she
Lovely. All right, with that in mind, that's it. Don't forget, if your videos, like them and share them far and wide. We're going to kick around some ideas about, I think Robert's was good, about how to pull all of this with trade and get to the heart of it. Because as we just showed you with the economic stuff, it's not. Democrats are going to have to deal with this reality really soon. And this guy's approval rating is going to go up again. And once we get these economic, people will know before we get these economic numbers, folks. They're going to know the economy grew by 4% before the Bureau of Economic Analysis says the economy grew by 4%. Okay. They're going to know that. All right. But like I said, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on X, we're on Getter, we're on Truth. And you should definitely like the videos and follow us in all those places. But the best place is right there. peoplespundit.locals.com. peoplespundit.locals.com. All right, I'm out, folks. Have a great rest of the day. I hope it's sunny where you are and you enjoy it. Deuces, because it's been raining where we are forever. Hello, gorgeous. Try this cake. It's not really a cake, it's a protein cake. It's delicious. Oh yeah. Later, folks. I think I want to play the guitar a little bit later today, guys.
Sounds like playing.
That's a digital delay.
I love you.
It's a digital delay.
You used to have a talk box. Like a talk box when we were younger.
Yeah, I did have a talk box. Wow, 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 wow. You had to do it for Bon Jovi. I needed it for Bon Jovi and a Guns N' Roses song. Can't remember.
Deuces.